My question is, if I could be half as good at you, or at communicating as you are.
Language that's designed to control our freedom of authority to determine what I say? What kind of question?
I would be set. How can I teach myself to do that?
Well, there's a couple of things. It helps to read a lot. It really helps to write. You know, you wouldn't be asking me this question if you didn't think at some level improvement in your verbal ability would be useful to you. Well, so how do you do that? You read, you think, you write. The reason you write is because writing forces you to articulate your thoughts. It organizes your brain around whatever it is that you're writing about. And one of the easiest ways to write, there isn't any real easy way, but one of the easiest ways to write is to write down a problem. It's like, what problem is bothering me? We can write about that. First of all, to get the problem clear, that's a hard thing. Then you start to write about what might possible solutions be. And if you fight with those solutions, because, you want to kill off the stupid ones, and then, maybe you need to learn to speak more fluidly. You could try a class in improvisation, and maybe that's too daunting. You could join a speakers club like Toastmasters. You could try talking more at dinner parties a little bit more once you formulate your thoughts. You have to be willing to be somewhat of a bumbling fool to begin with, right? And maybe your verbal skills are better than you think they are, and you're just self-conscious. But you have to practice putting yourself forward a little bit. And tentatively, you can do a lot of that, a lot of that initial learning how to interact with people, though, by asking them questions about what they think and then responding instead of being too concerned about putting your own point forward. And if someone has said rude things to you, for example, there's things that have to be said, but that doesn't mean you can just blurt them out. That's like a little war. You don't want to walk into that unarmed and unprepared. That means that you should set up your life so that you're firmly enough anchored in a variety of different ways so that you can say what you need to say without dying as a consequence. So if you're going to speak effectively, you have to know way more than you're talking about, so this is often difficult for beginning lecturers at university because they'll do a lecture on a topic, but they only know as much as they're saying in the lecture, and they get kind of stuck to their notes because of it. But you want to know 10 times as much as you are saying in the lecture, and then you can specify a stepping path through it and elaborate with the other things that you know. But to do that, you have to do a lot of reading, but you also have to do a lot of reading because that's where the synthesizing comes. So that's on the input side. And then on the output side, well, there's some tricks.
Oh, don't deny it. You've loved it. You don't actually need me to stand for anything. You just need me to stand. To be the strong man, the man of action.
You can also speak carefully, and listen to what you're saying and only try to say things that you think are true. That's also unbelievably useful. You have to feel that out. Like, is this really what I believe? Or am I putting it forward because I want to look good, or I want to dominate, or there's lots of reasons that people use language. But what you really should use it for is to state what you believe to be true, and then to let the consequences of that unfold. And so that can also, simple truths, bluntly stated, can be very powerful. I don't sow confusion. The journalists that interview me sow confusion. The woman who wrote the
Why do
New
you
York
think that?
Times.
You know, it's not just a journalist from the New York Times. You know that this happens over and over and over.
That's because the journalists read each other's journalism. You don't need a lot of verbal fluency under those circumstances if there's evidence of strength of character behind it. Here's another thing I could tell you that if you take to heart will save you an awful lot of grief and misery. If you're talking to someone and they're not listening, shut up. Just stop. It's like you could tell if they're not listening.
Mr. Zuckerberg, do I have your full attention?
No.
Do you think I deserve it?
And if they're not listening, quit saying words. You'll just feel like a fool anyways, because it's like you're throwing ping pong balls against a brick wall. You're not getting anywhere. If they're not listening, that's a sign that the situation isn't set up to allow you to progress on the path that you're choosing. And so then you have to stop and you think, okay, well, what's going on here? Why is the person not listening? Do they not understand what I'm saying? Do they want to talk? What's going on? Maybe they don't want to be here. There's all sorts of possibilities, but that's when you have to wake up past what it is that you're trying to impose on the situation and explore and see what's there.